Napoleon Bonaparte was born on August 15, 1769, in the town of Ajaccio, Corsica, which was then under Genoese rule. He was the second of 8 surviving children born to Carlo Bonaparte and Letizia Ramolino. The Bonaparte family belonged to the Corsican nobility, but they faced financial challenges, and Napoleon grew up in a modest household. Despite their circumstances, his parents were determined to provide him with a solid education and instill in him the values of discipline, ambition, and loyalty. The Bonaparte household was marked by the strong personalities of both parents and the competitive nature of Napoleon's siblings. His father, Carlo Bonaparte, was involved in Corsican politics. Carlo initially championed the cause of Corsican independence, stood against Genoese and French dominion. He instilled in Napoleon a sense of pride in his Corsican heritage and a desire for military glory. However, despite assisting Pasquale Paoli, the general diet of the people of Corsica and the champion of Corsica independence during the French invasion, he chose not to go into exile with him. Instead, Carlo and the Bonapartes pledged allegiance to King Louis XV. Carlo belonged to a noble family of Italian origin that settled in Corsica. His ancestors had walked the cobbled streets of Bologna, debated in the halls of Ferrara, and reveled in the artistry of Ravenna. The echoes of their legacy resonated across vineyards and vine-covered villas. Napoleon's mother, Letizia, on the other hand, came from a prominent Corsican family and was known for her strong personality and intelligence. Letizia married Carlo Bonaparte at the age of 14 and bore him 13 children, 8 of whom survived to adulthood. She played a significant role in shaping her children's characters and education. She also managed the family finances and instilled discipline in her children. Despite her strictness, Napoleon had a deep affection for his mother, and she particularly played a significant role in shaping his character. The Bonaparte household was marked by the strong personalities of both parents and the competitive nature of Napoleon's siblings. Growing up in this environment, Napoleon developed a keen sense of ambition and a drive to succeed. His parents' differing attitudes towards French rule in Corsica also influenced his political views and aspirations for the future. Carlo eventually adapted to the new French regime, recognizing the opportunities it presented for her children. At 5 years old, Napoleon was sent to the primary boarding school in Ajaccio. Here he learned the basics: reading, writing, and arithmetic. 2 years later, in 1776, he studied French under Abbé Recco, but destiny beckoned beyond Corsica's shores. On 16th December 1778, Carlo Bonaparte and his 2 elder sons set out for mainland France. Joseph and Napoleon went to the school in Orton on 1 January 1779, the aim being to perfect their French. Napoleon left Orton on 21 April, stayed for 3 weeks with Monsieur de Champeau before leaving for the Royal Military Secondary School at Brienne in northeastern France. On May 15, 1779, 9-year-old Napoleon arrived in Brienne. He would remain for the next 5 years, till October of 1784. Brienne was one of 12 military schools that was supposed to provide the best education for French students, scope them into the next generation of French officers. This marked a significant transition for the young Napoleon, as he left behind the rugged landscapes of Corsica for the regimented environment of a military academy. Napoleon's early years at Brienne were challenging, both academically and socially. As a newcomer from a provincial background, he faced discrimination and isolation from his wealthier and more privileged classmates. He was constantly the frequent target of classmates' jokes and was bullied for his heavy Corsican accent. He felt like a foreigner. Isolation and austerity became his companions, and he withdrew into himself, often spending his free time alone, immersed in books and deep in thought. His isolation fostered a sense of self-reliance, driving him to prove himself and rise above the constraints of his humble origins. Brienne provided Napoleon with a rigorous military education, instilling in him the principles of discipline, obedience, and leadership. He participated in drills, exercises, and mock battles, honing his skills in tactics, strategy, and battlefield command. Despite the initial difficulties, Napoleon excelled academically at Brienne. He displayed a remarkable aptitude for history, mathematics, and science, subjects that were emphasized in the school's curriculum. His sharp intellect and diligent work ethic set him apart from his peers, earning him the respect of his teachers and superiors. Napoleon only took his graduation exempt, passing with flying colors. Based upon his exceptional mathematical skills, Napoleon was one of only 14 out of 136 graduates from France's 12 military schools recommended for the artillery. Napoleon was seldom visited by his parents. His mum was shocked by how thin her Napoleon had become when they visited him in 1782. In 1783, his father fell ill, and so he was not able to visit. It was quite possibly stomach cancer, of the same variety that would kill Napoleon decades later. Carlo passed away on February 24, 1785, in Montpellier, France, at the age of 38. His death deeply troubled Napoleon. In 1784, a young Napoleon Bonaparte, far from his native Corsica, found solace in the written word. Instead of longing for Corsican delicacies, he yearned for the history of Corsica by Boswell and other tales related to his homeland. This seemingly innocuous request to his father reveals Napoleon's deep-rooted fascination with Corsican history and its romanticized portrayal in literature, a paradise. Napoleon's reverence for Corsica stemmed from its portrayal as an idealized, glorified yet lost paradise. Oppressed by conquerors, Corsica had been under the yoke of France since 1768. Despite this, Napoleon remained faithful to Pasquale Paoli, his mentor and Corsican hero, envisioning a liberated Corsica under Paoli's guidance. As a young man in Brienne, Napoleon idolized Paoli and viewed Corsica as a land of political perfection, ensuring wealth, peace, and harmony. His naive idealism was fueled by literature and shaped by his hero worship of Paoli. However, Napoleon's aspirations extended beyond mere admiration. He planned to write a book on Corsican history to glorify its people and damn its oppressors. Yet Napoleon's ambitious project was never realized. Doubts about his literary talent and the realization of his role as a soldier rather than an ideologist led him to abandon the endeavor. Paoli, too, expressed skepticism about the timing of such a project, advising Napoleon that history is not written in one's youth. The dawn of the French Revolution in 1789 brought newfound hope and uncertainty. While few could predict the collapse of the Ancien Regime, Napoleon remained cautiously optimistic about Corsica's fate. However, his optimism was tempered by apprehension for his homeland amidst the revolutionary fervor sweeping through France. Following the fall of the Bastille, Napoleon's attention turned to tending to his family's affairs, hoping the revolution's outcome would favor them. Yet his regiment's stationing in Auxonne kept him from the epicenter of revolutionary activity in Paris. Despite this, thoughts of Corsica consumed him, prompting a revisit to its history. He was one of the few officers in Auxonne, and the only one in his regiment who supported the Assembly and the Revolution. However, Napoleon's more radically liberal anti-clerical ideals conformed to those of the Society of the Friends of the Constitution, better known as the Jacobins. The Jacobin Club represented the radical left wing of Assembly politics, pushing hard for democratization and the demolition of the regime. Napoleon was a member of the Auxonne Jacobin Club and quite likely a founding member. He and like-minded fellows met to debate and discuss. This didn't last for long, though. After the storming of the Bastille, on 14th July 1789, Napoleon was planning to return to Corsica to attend his family business. Under usual circumstances, his superiors might have rejected his request, but naturally, these were extraordinary times. On September 15, 1789, Napoleon Bonaparte set foot once again in his native homeland.